Good evening, everybody. There I am. Now I'm live. You have to wait. When you first goes live, it's all blurry and weird. My name's Gary. We are getting ready to do a work session on YMCA. I'm getting the room open really, really early at 7:49. We won't be starting until 8, so that's 11 minutes from now. So if you happen to be logging into the recording, obviously you're going to want to fast forward uh, at least 12 minutes. Yeah, don't sit and watch me post stuff on here. Um, Website is denverguitarorchestra.com, and I'm going to be posting our link right here. Oops. Shift, Enter, Control, V, highlight, click, link, enter, edit, settings, open a new window, update. I'm going to take this link off of here. Get rid of that. Oops, link to join, turn. It's here, Control V. Pull this off here. Control X. Update, and then we'll see if that actually ends up looking like it's supposed to and going where it's supposed to go. We'll scroll down. All right, so there we go. Yep, it's going right spot. It's all blurry. All right, nothing like a blurry picture of me to entice people to come watch a video like this. Let's go put this link from earlier today onto our page, to the archive. Thursday, August 26, 27, colon, paste, shift, link, enter, edit, settings, open a new window, update, highlight, oops, Control Z, highlight this Dell machine that we use, that we bought, that we don't use. Bit of an annoyance. There's a reason we don't use you, Dell. Let's see how we looking. I got the doggone autofocus working. I don't want the autofocus working. Let's see if I can turn it off. It's probably gonna freak it out. It's gonna say, no, you can't do that. The one at work I can, but this one doesn't let me do this. Camera not available. It says the autofocus is turned off. I don't know. It's not supposed to be autofocusing. We'll do what we can. First one in to tell me how the sound is gets a free puppy. Let's see. Let me let people know we're doing this. Hopefully everybody knows. Sign in. Where need to go? Gotta go here. Mail. Sign in. I'm gonna end up having to use. Look at how orange that makes me. That's funny. The lighting. Whatever. What are you gonna do? Nobody cares what I look like. I'll turn this off in a minute. No, I won't be able to. I'm gonna have to have it here. What if I put it up over here? Is that gonna make it look? No. Still way too bright. Yeah. So it is what it is, huh? Oh, I could turn the screen down. That's what I could do. Look at there. All right. So let's get logged in, and then we will remind everybody we're doing this tonight. Let's go to enter. All right, let's compose. Let's go figure out who bought this. Reminder, YMCA tonight! Exclamation point. Here's the link. Let's go ahead and sign in on this computer too. I've never done this. We'll see if we can tell people how to get to this from here. I know I can do it from that computer. Let's see. Oh, there I am, live now. I'm live now. Oh my goodness. There I am. That is so funny. All right. So, and then let's make sure we send it to all the right people. Recent guitar. All right, so we've got to send it to Vic. And we have to send it to Ellen. Oops. Kristen. Nancy, Bill, and Haley. Nancy, Bill, Haley. Elizabeth. That's what I'm missing. Anybody showed up yet? Nobody showed up yet. Like, you guys can sit and watch me do email. Very exciting. Who else? That doesn't seem like enough people. Who else usually comes? Dan, Bell, Perry, Vic, Joni sometimes. Send one to Joni. Joni, I don't think she ordered one. And Aaron. I don't think Aaron ever asked for it. Francis. Who else can we talk into coming in tonight? Really the song that makes a difference, isn't it? Did I get Elizabeth on board? I did. Let's send that out to everybody. We'll see if all right, so there's that. I'll get everybody in here, and then let's get sheet music up. 4 A YMCA YMCA. Hey Vic, your first one in tonight. I got loaded up a little bit early, and so I just sent everybody out a reminder. We'll see if anybody else shows up. Page view, page display, 2-page view. I think I'm supposed to put it to 2-page scrolling. There we go. Here. Can I make this a little bigger? I hate it that I left my sheet music thingamabop over at the office tonight. All right, there, that's where we're at. I'm wearing my ukulele shirt. I should have changed shirts into something a little fancier. My face feels very hot. I am going to go move those lights back just a little bit. See if I can calm the brightness of me down. It's very, very, very bright. Let's see if I do that. Harmonicas. All this stuff out of the way. I don't like having all that stuff in the thing. Uh-oh, people are texting me now. They're probably being like, whoop. Oh, okay. Sound is good. All right, I'm going to adjust these lights just a little bit. That's a little better, huh? Not quite as glowing. All right, let's get a guitar. I think we missed had 2 Thursday nights in a row we missed, and so people ended up out of the habit. And so who knows if anybody else is going to show up tonight. Something I have learned about community music is if you're not consistent, they stop showing up. Let's see, you got the sheet music, so I will pay more. Oh. Yeah, I think the nice part about this piece of music is that, it's not exactly easy, but it's also pretty doable. And you and I can work through the details of it. You've already sat through it a few times, Vic, and so there's no reason why we can't take our time. You've been playing mostly melody, and we'll see if anybody else comes tonight. Otherwise, you and I are going to learn how to play this thing. I think the first thing is with this piece, obviously A chord is very much a part of what we're doing. So make sure that that's clear for you. And what I notice when I'm playing A chord, if I don't hit this top string and I just play 5 down, it's going to sound so much nicer than hitting this one. This just, even though technically this is in the chord, the 6th string on a guitar never has the same beautiful resonance that the 5th string does. It has to do with the mathematics of this. And so you just never quite get the pretty sound you're looking for when you hit that 6th string. So there's that. That shape takes you all the way through measures 1 and 2. And whether you sing it or do the tough acts, I think being mindful to only hit the fifth string down is important. Then let's look over at measure 3 and 4. These measures present a little bit of a challenge for me in that I have to obviously get the F sharp minor chord on. Not exactly an easy chord to get. And not only that, you've got to get this on well, because you're going to be hitting the 4s and the 2s together. But then in the last note of measure 4 and 3 different times in measure 4, did I say that right? The last note of measure 3 and 3 different times in measure 4, you have to turn this into a 0. So we do this strum, and then we play a little melody. And then you're going to have to lift this up to get the 0 on that second string, and then push it back down, and then lift it up and down, and then you got a 0 on the first string. So I don't see any smarter way to deal with that. You still have to have the bar there. Nothing you're going to do about that, right? So that bar with your fingers on 4, that's what's going to happen in measures 3 and 4. But you're going to be lifting that bar up. So I guess the way to think of it is it's a really great opportunity to work on your bar chord. Measure 5, we're going to be digging into D chord. Okay, not terribly difficult. Measure 6 and 7. I'm sorry, measure 6, we stick with the D chord all the way through there. Little modifications of the D chord, and we do go up to 5. Measure 7 is where I keep getting caught during the day, which is you're busy playing this D chord. You look down, you see at measure 7, you're like, oh, that looks like a D chord, but it's not. It's an E7, but it's the melodies clear up on 4, so I really could not conveniently put that there. So I changed it to what amounts to a D7 chord, and move that up to 3, making it an E7, and then leaving this string open, the 4th string open, which is typically open when you hold your E7 here. So we got a very convenient E7 here, and as long as we don't hit this 5th string, it sounds just fine and much easier to play. Then we're going to drop down to 0 and then grab a regular E7 at measure 8. And try not to hit that first string again. Pinky on 3, ring here. Okay, so I would say the places for this song where I'm having to put the most work is measures 3 and 4, and then making sure that I understand how measure 7 leads to measure 8, that this is an E7 that's going to lead down and turn into a regular E7. Pinky on there, ring on there, open, and then now these percussion things, I don't really like them, but it comes up all the time in fingerstyle guitar, so it's something to practice. Sometimes I tap, sometimes I use my thumb. I don't like them, but they are what they are. And in the song, right, he goes, bum, bum, bum. It's fun to talk up, stay at the YMCA. I do think at measure 10, that rest at the beginning of measure 10 is really important. Rest. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. And so I think when you're playing it with chords, you're not going to do anything there. 2, 3, 4, rest. It's fun to play it, stay at the YMCA. And then when you go to the F sharp minor in measure 13, you don't have quite, you can use, if you're just going to sing and strum, the F sharp minor is fine. Why, it's fun to stay at the YMCA. They have, and then you go to B minor. When you're in F sharp minor, and you drop to B minor. It's actually a pretty easy transition. You've got your bar and your 2 4s here, and then to drop, and that happens a lot in the key of D. The key of A, I mean. Like, that doesn't sound right. And if I was singing this, I would ignore the B minor sevenths, because it's way too much work to go from they have everything that you need to enjoy. It's just way more work than I'm going to do. So if I'm strumming it, I'm dropping the B minor seventh in 16. They turn out to be pretty important in the tough acts, but they're not important as chords. If I'm singing it. Major 17 and 18, of course, are just D chords with your pinky up on 5. There's not much to talk about there. In majors 19, 20, again, more D chords with your pinky in there. And then everything, of course, repeats in 21 through 25, really. You've got your no chord entry at 21. A chord, all pretty straight. You are going to have to roll your ring finger down on the tough acts. And then and just getting your E7 on in 24. And then this big bar chord, which we've done quite a bit during the day. Bar chord on 2, pinky on 5 as a finish. This is the important note when you're finishing, right? You've got your A chord on. If you finish that way, it doesn't sound complete. But if you put the pinky on here, then you got a real nice period at the end of the sentence, and it sounds good. All right. So those are those are my thoughts with chords on there. Let's just play through the melody a couple of times. I think the melody is surprisingly easy for a song that has quite a bit of melody in it. So you're going to have some 5s show up. When the 5s show up in down there measures 10. Measure 15, definitely play in second position. That's going to make it way easier for melody playing. So let's go from 1, see what we come up with. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to the top. Tap, 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 rest. Back to 10. And then we would be wrapping up with when you hit the wrong string, you really punches you in the face, doesn't it? So the idea here that we're thinking about is it's really 2s and 5s. So occasionally a 3 shows up in here, occasionally a 4 shows up in here, but for the most part, you're playing in second position really throughout. And so I started off with my melody finger playing, my middle finger playing the 2s. But really, this song is really wanting you to be in second position the whole way through. And then you've got all of the frets covered that you're going to need to play. You're never going to play 1 You do play 4, you do play 3, and you do play 5. So the whole song will be covered by playing in second position. Okay, let's go through and play the whole thing just as written again. I sped up as I was going along. I realized what I was up to, so we want to not do that. Let's play from twice through, obviously, verses 1 and 2, or 3 and 4, or 5 and 6, whichever one makes you happiest. We'll play just 2 verses of it. See how we do. 1, 2, 3, 4. Young man, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-2. 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-3, 3-2-0, 2-3-2, 5-2-4, 2-0, 3-2-0 to the top, 0-2, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-2, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-3-3, 3-2-0, 2-3-2, 5-2-4, 2-0, 3-2-0, tap, 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 rest. 2-2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-2, 2-0, 2-0, rest. 5-2, 5-5, 5-2, 5-2, 5-5, 5-2, 5-2, 5-2, 5-5-2, again. 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 5-2, 5-5, 5-2, 5-2, 5-5, 5-2, 5-2, 5-2, 5-5-5-2, and then to wrap it up, 2-2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 5. Okay. I guess reasonably important to remember that measure 19 is a little bit different than measure 17, right? So it's 5-0, 5-2-5, whereas measure 17 is 5-2-0, 5-5, 5-2-0, 5-5-2-0. So 17 and 19 are not duplicates. I've been treating them as duplicates because I keep reading into the second ending, but they're not. And so, because the lyrics on the first time through, you can hang out with all the boys. And the second time you come through, it says, you can do whatever you feel. And so just make sure you don't treat those as equivalents, because they're not. Not that anybody's going to sue you for it. Let's see, who else is showing up? Hey guys, thanks for being here. Whoever's hanging out up in the widget. Let's talk about, I think, obviously, this is a disco song, right? Dun dun, ba-da, ba-da, dum, bum. But we're playing it on acoustic guitar, so you're probably going to get away with treating it much more like a ballad or something, da-dum, da-da-da-da-da-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. I think about it in whatever way makes the most sense for you. Let's go to measure 1, and let's start digging into the tough acts. So first thing is A chord, right? 5 strings. And you're already holding down that 2. So it's a nice beginning. And then I've got 0-2-2 here to counterbalance the rest, because the rest here is young man. There's no need to feel down. So as a singer, that rest means a big deal. But as an instrumentalist, it's just dead space, right? So I'm going to go. Okay. And now there's a challenge here in that I always want to use as much as the chord as I can without re-hitting the melody note. But when you hit this part, you have a tendency to stop the melody note. So you're thoughtful about, do I want to hit all three 0 to 2, or would 0 2 suffice? Then that second string can keep ringing. I have found, in my opinion, that it doesn't really matter if you hit that other note and stop that note from ringing through. It's not supposed to be what would amount to a dotted 3.5 beats, right? It's not really meant to be that long, 2.5 beats. It's really meant to be 1.5 beats with a rest. So if you actually stop it with your thumb, doing a down strum on 0 2 2, I don't think you've lost anything with the music that we weren't going to probably lose anyway. That's how I like it as a ballad, right? Nice and slow. Young man, right? I like it that way too. Oh, hey, Elizabeth, good to see you. You don't need to ever apologize to me. I understand. Believe me, I understand what everybody around here is doing musically. I'm just delighted you're here. Okay. We haven't had it on a Thursday night for a while. People got out of the habit. So as a ballad, when you're thinking about this, young man, little strum, there's no little strum again. Me to fill down. And I've been just loving hitting this 8 string by itself. Bong, 2 0, right? I don't know. It's just hilarious. Bong, 2 0, I said. So it serves no purpose, that 0 down there, except that I love hitting it. Bong, right? Again, just filling up space. There's a place there where there feels like there ought to be a note. I put one in. Okay, and that would be well, it's actually hitting on what, be 2.5 or something. 1, 1, 2.5. Yeah. So it's in a funny spot. But anyway, measure 2, feel it looks like 2 0, and then we go. Now this is the challenging one, right? If you're playing melody, just play through the melody and don't worry about the chords here. But if you're playing the chords, obviously if you're just playing chords, you're fine. This is just F sharp minor that rolls through here. But if you're playing the tough acts, you got your work cut out for you in measure 3. Sorry, you've got to get a clean F sharp minor on. Now, I have also been experimenting with 3 of these and a ring finger, right? Which it works as well. I'm not as comfortable getting it on, though. And so I'm really more comfortable grabbing the full bar and adding in these 2 fingers here. So I guess experiment with whichever way works the best for you. But we've got this F sharp minor and then young man. And then you're going to hit this 4 and the 2, and then 2, pick your, and you got to lift up the bar, your, and then put it right back down, self off the ground. So I've been noticing in playing this that my bar is going bump, play, up, down, up, down, up, down. It works. It's not exactly easy or clean, but just be thoughtful about, is that the best way I can do it? There may be better choices here, but there might be better solutions to that, but I don't know what they would be. If you do a partial bar, you still got to lift up and do all that stuff. So if you're most comfortable doing a full bar with your E minor shape in front, do that. If a partial bar with just 1 finger on 4 over here works for you, I think that's just an equally good solution to that. There's not really going to be a good solution because the chord gets in the way of the melody, and the only possible solution would be to refinger it higher up here on the neck. but the whole song is hanging out down here, so I'm not about to do that. Those of you who are smart about this stuff, you might think, yeah, I'm going to use the lower strings, but finger it higher up the neck to avoid that challenge. But I think you can probably just get it with lifting the bar up. And then when I get to that, the last one there, I said, I've been tending to pull up my fingers early for no reason. I shouldn't be doing that because measure 5 is a D chord, and I can get the D chord on just fine. And it sounds pretty too when you get there. You're like, oh, thank goodness. That's going to pick the whole thing up a little bit. 0, 2. And you're already on 3. And this happens a lot when you're playing D chords where you're going to take this and slide it back 1. So you've got at the end of 5, D chord, 3, 2, and then lift these 2 fingers up. Middle finger down to get the 2, ring finger down to get the 3, and then you've got your D chord back on. Pinky up on 5. And you can abandon the D chord at that point. 5, 2, reach up, grab the 3, and these 2 4s. So it's just a D7, but it's on 3, so it's an E7. 4 strings. And that sounds cool in my mind. 2, O, E7. So here's where we get into this challenge of singers who start a beat too early. There's no need to be unhappy. So he starts B, crosses over the measure, gets the new chord, which is the same as the old chord, gets another chord swipe, and then moves on with the melody. It happens all the time in pop music, all of the time. And as an instrumentalist, I always have to figure out, am I going to stick with that tied measure, or am I going to just neaten things up? If it's Eric Clapton, I neaten things up because I think he comes early on accident. I don't think he knows how to sing. But but in this case, yeah, it sounds kind of cool if you can get it. Starting at 7, chord 2, O, strum 3, new strum, and you're going to take this 3 back to 2. Okay, so it sounds kind of good if you can do it right. Bum, 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 bum. If you can't get it clean, or that's too much work, just hit just forget that the fact that the 0 starts in measure 7 and play the full chord in measure 8. No one's gonna know the difference. It's just kind of a nice thing to do, to hit the melody note first and then add the chord in underneath if you can. All right, so let's play measures 1 through 8 there a couple of times. Let's just go through it twice and see, real slow, and see if we can get it. Okay, from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again. Okay. I think that gets you through the first 8 measures, right? And since we play that twice, it's really 16 measures. And since we really play it 6 times, it's really a lot of measures. Okay. We have yet to come even close to playing this 6 times through. It seems to me that's too many. Don't you think? That seems like way too many verses when they're all identical and they all say the same thing and there's no real story development in the song. The entire development is in the very first line. If you're sad, go down to the YMCA and you'll be happy. That's it. That's the whole story. Everything, there's no other additional story. Nothing new is added to the story when you go down into all of those verses. So I think 2 verses is plenty on this song. But if you want it to go on for a while, you got 6. You can go through it 6 times altogether. Again, in my mind, the hardest part by far is measures 3 and 4. And so if I'm going to take this thing and I'm going to get it memorized and get it ready for performance, that's the area where I'm going to be working. And I'm going to be coming up either with a partial bar in my 4 over here or with a full bar and my E minor. I think either of those is legitimate choices. None of them solve the problem particularly, but it's a good opportunity for you to dig into that one little section there. The percussion side, again, sometimes I tap with my hand, sometimes I tap with my thumb. I am always tapping with lackluster energy because I think it's not something that I particularly like, but you should commit, right? So it's bum, 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 bum. Rest, ba-da-da-da-da-dum. So whatever you do in measure 9, just commit to it, okay? Rest, ba-dum, strum, 2-0, strum, okay? Now, measures 10 and through 18 are actually a blast to play. There's one thing that's hard. Again, it's within the F sharp minor there at 13. But other than that, it's actually quite a lovely, lovely few measures, 8 more measures, right? So when you come out of the tap, 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 make sure you hit that rest legit, right? Tap, 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 rest. Yeah, I even say it as I'm practicing, rest. Okay. And the notes are all 8th notes. Dun 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 dun. The quarter note at the end. Dun 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 dun. But you want to swing it a little bit. Da dun da dun da dun. Ba dun da dun da da. It's fun to stay at the. So swing it just a little bit in there. Don't treat them as straight 8th notes. Right? That's exactly how he would sing it in the song. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. So, and it's nice because your zeros are what's the longer note. And it's exaggerating a little bit, but that's the idea. Also, great chance to work on these guys. So if you're working on that, this is stuff I need to continue to work on. You get a very different feeling from that than the thumb. Any of those will work. And then I have been doing it measure 11, dropping a full bar on because I feel safest doing that. But if you do an A chord and add your pinky, you can do that. You can also do an A chord and then just make sure your ring finger is covering both of those. But so I do a full bar or a partial bar here. Then I grab the A. Same thing as up there in measures 7 going into 8 and measure 11 going into 12. I've got it written where you hit the A first and then the chord. I think it just sounds a little more sophisticated. So if I give you measures on 10 and 11, what I come up with is. And then I dig in measure 12. I want to hit those pretty hard. Wum ba 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 bum bum bum. Okay, so let's play 10 through 12 and see what we come up with. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest. after 12 a little bit harder than the rest of it. I'm not sure why. It feels like maybe I should. Now, for me, what I have been struggling with over the last week with this piece is measures 13 and 14. I don't see any other way to play this well without doing this shape. Index finger, third string, second fret, and these two guys reaching up, fifth string and fourth string on the fourth fret. Because you have to get this open note in measure 13, open on 2, you have to get that. And it has to be up against this F sharp minor. And I have not found any better way to do this. And so I think this is this moment you have to memorize. Okay, you see that coming up, you're like, oh, I hate that part. Make sure your index finger gets on the 3, and then these two add on. YMCA, strum. So if you get it on right, that gets you a measure and a half worth of work done. It's just, for some reason, I find this challenging to get on. Okay, so let's go at 13. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what you're going for there. Dum, dum. Okay, then pinky comes down to 5, index to 2, just like you'd expect. And then your index is going to come back up to 3 on the second string, A minor shape, okay, but on 3, and pinky on 5. I love this moment in the song. I think this chord is really cool, a little cool surprise. It's a minor 7th shape. And so the B minor gets enough of a melodic change to turn it into a jazz chord in the middle of this disco song, right? So you've got A minor shape on 3 with your pinky on 5. So doesn't that sound cool? And then go grab these 0, 2, 0, 2. And that's that B minor 7th. The B minor 7th that we decided, hey, we didn't decide. I told you to decide. When you're strumming this, just forget those B minor 7ths. They're way too much work for what you get out of it. The B minor will carry you quite handsomely through 15 and 16. But when you're on tough, to go from this minor 7th shape to the other minor 7th. I'm sorry, major 7th. No, yeah, minor 7th. They're both really ends up being B minor 7ths, but they just have a different voicing in them. And I think they sound nice up against each other. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck with really what amounts to the same chord. Back up to 5. And then do the whole thing again. And then where you get busted is at 17. You got to get the G chord on and your pinky back out there. 2, 0. So that's all feels a little gangly, right? Your pinky's all over the place in that little section there. But that sounds nice. Okay, let's play 10 to 18. Okay, nice and slow. From 10, 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest. Back to 10. Oops, sorry. Okay, so there's that program. But if you come into, and the second time through and you come into 19, you start the measure the same. You can do whatever you feel. Bong, bong. So I don't know necessarily if you're playing this as a ballad, a slow ballad, whether you play 17 and 19 as written or just play 17 as 19. Either way, you're going to get away with it. It's more correct to play 19 when it's time to play 19, but there is this awkward page turn. So if you have all three pages out in front of you, obviously play 19. But if you can't quite get your page turn in order, just play 17. It'll be fine. It's close enough. And then, of course, but we've talked about all week, when you get to 20, and then you hit dum, dum, and then you get to make the decision. Am I going to go back for two more verses, 3 and 4, or am I done? Have I had enough? And all week we've had enough, right? And so I don't know if we'll ever play all 6 verses. That seems like too much. And to finish up, you basically go back to measure 10, but you're at 21 now, okay? So 21 and 10 are the same. Rest. Bar, A chord, roll, grab the 2, open, and then A, 2, 2, O, O, 2. Again, I've hit that fairly aggressively, and then you've got a new chord here. Okay, and I think, honestly, let your audience know you're finishing up, grab that E7 and just hit it full. Okay, slide up to the 2, open, and then this is the piece de la resistance, right? Getting your bar on here, doing this, making sure this A string is open. So 4 strings on your bar and your pinky here. Okay. That will tell people, yeah, I knew it was a disco song, but I didn't care. I want this to be a beautiful solo guitar piece. Okay, that's what you want, how you want to end. All right. Unless you have other thoughts or if I've said something that makes no sense whatsoever, I think it's time for us to play it top to bottom. Okay, 2 times through, I would say, and we'll try to keep the speed down. And then our goal for next week would be to play this even better on Thursday night and play it at a higher rate of speed. Okay, so your goal this week is hopefully we've solved all of the likely chording challenges that you'll face, or if you're just playing melody, you've already probably doing that. And then when we get to next week, it'd be nice to have it up a little bit faster. It never needs to be 120, but not obviously we don't necessarily want it at 60 either, right? As fast as we can without it making us sad. Vic says I mess up the repeats. So a couple of thoughts on the repeats. If I'm going to be running this piece on my own, or even when I'm the conductor and I'm going to be running a large group, I put handwriting every time there's a repeat. So at measure 8, I'm going to write 2 number 1, right? I pull up and I'm thinking, all right, I know I got to go back there twice, right? So I'm going to go 1 through 8. Oh, it says 2 number 1. I'm going to go back to number 1. When I come back through, I'm going to remember, hey, I've already been through here once. I'm not going to go back again. So then I will then go down to 18. And at number 18, I write 2 number 10. Okay. And I've taken yellow highlighter and I've run it down the repeat there at the front of measure 10. So my eyeball will track more quickly. It sees that yellow highlighter and it goes right to it. The other thing I do is I put a piece of highlighter down the front of 17. And I don't do this on my computer. It's why I mess it up all the time. But when I have paper, I'll put a yellow highlighter note right down on 17. So the first time I come through, there's yellow highlighter. Okay, it's the first time I can go into the first repeat. at the end of 18, it says go to number 10. My eyeball tracks up to the yellow highlighter at 10. Okay, now I'm golden. So then I play back through. The second time I come up to 17, I'm like, oh, I already crossed over into that. I'm going to jump down to 19. Okay, so I think those are helpful strategies, is to physically handwrite on your music where you're going to go to. So go to number 10 and then use some highlighter, blue or yellow or orange, doesn't matter, to get your eyeball to track to wherever it's supposed to go. I think it's particularly important to do that and when there's a page turn involved, because if you've got to turn the page back, you're going to really need your eyeballs to track quickly. You may not always be able to play at the speed everybody else is playing if you're in a group, but at least your eyeball goes to where you're supposed to be. That way you can jump in on the next measure, and you've only missed one measure while your eyes are getting scented. The worst part is you turn the page, you don't have your eyeball tracks to the wrong spot. Then you're having to find, well, where in the heck are we? And then you miss 3 or 4 measures by the time you figure out where the heck you're supposed to be. So I do think that use of highlighter can really, really make your lives better and easier. That would be my suggestion anyway. Okay. So great thought, Vic. Thank you. All right, let's play. Okay. 2 times through, or 2 verses of it, 1 and 2, and then we'll wrap it all up. I do have, because I forgot to bring home my little doodad, I am going to have to reach up and scroll down to get to page 3 on my laptop here. And so if I blow the ending, I blow the ending. Okay. All right. Tonight, nice and slow, ballad. Okay. Young man, there's no need to feel down. Okay. Nice and slow. Take your time. 1, 2, 3, 4. The top. Rest. To 10. Measure 19. Wrap it up. Okay. Kind of fun, right? All right, couple of thoughts, anything that's on your mind about that? I do think I think it's possible. I think it's very playable, and I do want to get the speed up on that. So this next week, I'm going to be trying to do a few little bit of speed drills on it to see if we can't get it up a little bit faster. I don't think. Generally speaking, my thought is if you want to get a piece fast, if you want to get it up to full speed, um, you have to be able to take your eyeballs off the paper because you've got to be making sure on these more complicated chord shapes that you've got them on there correctly. And so I will be working on that. It's only, how many measures? There's not very many measures. It's only 25 measures. So there's a few places that I know I've got to memorize. I've got to memorize 3 and 4. I know I absolutely positively have to memorize 13 and 14, and I'm going to have to memorize 15 and 16, not because they're hard to play, but the placement up here is very critical. So those are moments that I would for sure stick into my noggin so that I can pull my eyeballs off the paper. That's always super scary, right? And you're like, oh, because if I take my eyeballs off the paper, I won't know where to go. But if you've said, hey, I'm going to memorize those 2 measures and those 2 measures and those 2 measures, then you know when you're done with those 2 measures, you can look down, you know where to look down at. And so that's, in my mind, that's the only way. Honestly, and let's be perfectly straight on this. In order to play any song well, you can't have the paper in front of you. And so we've talked about this a few times, and I think it's something worth, hopefully you are already digging into, is you want 4 or 5 songs. Start with 1, but you want 4 or 5 songs that you can play the heck out of. And that means that you are working in that process of getting rid of the paper. And until you actually get rid of the paper in front of you, you're always going to not be quite there with the piece. And I don't think I'm saying anything Al Turner or crazy. I just think that in order to get the song fast and perfect and really, really nicely done, you have to be looking here. This is the place where your eyeballs are attached. And so I would be thinking about, all right, is this one of the songs I want to memorize? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, it doesn't matter. But whatever song it is that you have decided to do that on, you're working on it daily with the intention of getting rid of the paper. You may or may not be successful. Oh no, my poor brain, Vic says. I'm not a great memorizer myself, and so I am aware of what I'm asking or reminding you or suggesting, right? I would plan on 1 song to get started with, something you really love, and that's going well for you, to be making a point of that. And then I would say, once you are in the process of, I'm going to make this song my own, I love this song, I am going to own this piece of music, that you're playing it on a daily basis and you're really thinking about, all right, here's that part with the A minors. All right, I'm going to take my eyes off the paper. Right? Okay, and there's that D, there's the D chord with the 5. So I'm getting already where I pretty much know what I'm supposed to do there. I'm still questioning it as things are going along, but don't let memorizing be a reason why you quit guitar, though, either. You don't have to memorize anything, but if you have the desire to play something really well that you love, I would approach the paperwork each day as, my goodness, I'm going to get rid of you. And I would be thinking about it 2 measures at a time. That's how I usually work, is, all right, I'm going to get these 2 measures figured out. I'm going to get them where I don't need to use the paper. And then I add 2 more measures on the next day. In the meantime, I forgot the first 2 measures, so now I'm up to 4 measures that I'm working on. But when you find your song that you want to turn into something, I would say, to get it to the place where you're going to be really proud of it, you are going to be needing to get rid of the paper. Most of the stuff we play, we don't need to get rid of the paper, because most of the stuff we play isn't good enough for you to memorize. I mean, honestly, if I play Eric Clapton, one of you thinks that that's awesome, and the rest of you are like, whatever. If we play Hotel California, one person says, yeah, I really want to own that song, and the rest of you are like, I don't know, when are we going to go on to something else? So be mindful that I do think you should have one song that you have memorized and that you own and that you really know, and that it makes you excited to share with other people. And then once you have one, then you start on the second one, sort of thing. Evelyn, you have been lurking with the melody. That was beautiful. The F sharp minor and B minor are too hard for me right now. I would agree. There's another smart musician thing when Evelyn says those are just too hard for me right now. Absolutely. This every time I see it, I've been playing a few years, right? But I kind of know what this is and how I'm supposed to do it. Every time I see it, I'm just like, oh God, right? It's too hard. It's very hard. And so as a newer player, absolutely not, right? You know that this is not something that's going to happen in speed and all this. So if you're thinking about, hey, I'm going to play with the parts of the tough acts that I can, and you see that coming up, there is no policeman going to come and hit you with a billy club if you do this. Okay, I just played that with no hard chords at all, right? I got in my A's and I got in my D's, so I only got all in my level 1 chords in there. It's still a blast to play, right? You still are like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. I would be happy with that. So when you are thinking, all of you guys know how to read tablature, all of you, right? That's not something that's hard for you. So, every one of you can do an A chord, every one of you can do a D chord. Squeeze those in when you can. You could be playing entirely melody, and then you're like, oh, there's a D chord underneath this too. Sneak it in, right? I would say, I'm trying to think when I first started doing chord melody. It's a long time ago now, but I would say that I pretty much from the beginning decided I'm going to put a chord into every single measure. And I don't necessarily think that was a smart thing for me to do. I wasn't getting any instruction, of course, because I was too lazy to go get lessons. But my thought was, I want a chord in every measure, but that's not a smart thought. The smart thought is, I want to get this melody just as absolutely close to what I want it to be as possible. And then when I have the opportunity, I'll toss in a chord underneath that. And if it's an F sharp minor or a B minor, forget it. I'm not even going to add those in under there. I'm just going to roll right over those with melody. Nobody is going to say anything, honestly. I might say something if you came to a lesson, but that's what you would be paying me for, right? But other than that, nobody's going to say anything. They want to hear the tune, and so you're helping provide that. So, very good idea on that. Let's see, Elizabeth. Sometimes I feel songs are rented instead of owned. Yeah. Elizabeth, who's a lifelong musician, will tell you after playing hundreds, possibly thousands of songs, there ain't no way you're going to own all of that, right? It's not even worth it. Find the ones that you are going to own, that you love, and that starts with one. Okay, my first song that I memorized on ukulele was called "All Through the Night." It's just an old lullaby, and I memorized it because it was only 4, well, total of 8 measures I had to memorize, and I got 16 measures worth of good out of it, and all of them were relatively understandable, and it was a lovely tune, and I got a chance to do some plucking and some strumming and some different techniques in there, and then the second one I memorized was "Moon River" because that's my wife's favorite song. But you want those pieces to have some meaning in your life, because once you memorize it, in order to keep it memorized, you have to play it every single day for a year. And so you better feel pretty good about the song or you're just not going to do it. So in any event, this is a song that I'm going to rent, right? This is a song I love playing. I think it's fun. I want to see how fast I can get. I want to see how much silly disco-ish ideas I can add into this, and how many folk music ideas I can bring and make it into this ballad. But then I'm really going to move on. You know, Hotel California was another rental for me. Boy, I put a lot of energy into that. It's definitely a rental. Not that excited about it. Moving on. I have a couple students that are excited about it and they're hanging on to it. Last month, remember me, as soon as I get my pinky back in order from playing it, I'm going back to it because I want to own that one. Okay, and so find yours with it, and also not to belabor the point, but you wanted that song to be kind of in your skill set. So, yeah, we all want to have Bohemian Rhapsody memorized, but you're not going to, right? We start with Stairway to Heaven because it's the intro to Stairway to Heaven, way easier to memorize, or something like that. But don't be trying to memorize, the great classic guitarist of all time. Memorize Three Blind Mice if you have to, to get some, put it in wherever you're working, whatever level you're working in. So, okay, guys, thanks for being here tonight. Hopefully that helps. And next week we'll play this again with the intention of playing it a little bit faster. Okay, maybe not 120, but maybe up to 100. See if we can get 1, 2, 3, 4. Da dum, da 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 dum, ba dum, ba dum. Ba-da-ba-da-dum-bum. If we could get it that fast, that'd be pretty nice, right? Okay, kids, have a lovely evening. I'll see a few of you tomorrow. Some of you I'll see next week. And we will keep forging ahead. Get at least one more week out of this. We'll see how things are going at the end of next week. And then we may move on to something different. Or we may put one more weekend on this. Who knows? Let's see how much fun we're having with it. So send me emails if you got questions. Or comments, or if there's a song request you think we ought to consider for level 4, I always love hearing that. So have a great night, you guys. Thanks for being here, and you have a great Friday as well. And I'll talk to you guys later. I'm going to shut down the stream. Dink, 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 chink, and chink, chink.